This ABC 15 News Update is sponsored by Sanderson Ford, America's best-selling Ford dealership.
Hello, I'm Megan Thompson with your top stories from ABC 15 Arizona. Right now, a fire is growing in Benson along I-10 in southeast Arizona. The Texas Summit fire has now burned more than 450 acres. Officials say the fire started after a car crash on I-10. The Department of Forestry and Fire Management says the fire is 30% contained. All lanes of I-10 in the area are now open. The Phoenix Union Student Safety Committee is recommending school resource officers return to schools in the district. The committee is made up of parents, students, and staff. They voted on recommendations last night, which they'll now present to the district's governing board next month.
I think moving forward, my hope would be that even if recommendations are adopted or made by the board, that the board realizes that these are things that can and should be revisited on a regular basis, because obviously we know that culture, climate, things like this are fluid, and it's not something that should necessarily be locked into until the end of time.
In 2020, the district decided not to renew a contract with Phoenix Police after students protested against the presence of police on campus. A final decision on these recommendations could come from the district as soon as April 13th. Your child's school lunch could soon be changing. The Department of Agriculture is proposing new guidelines, but the plan is getting some surprising pushback. Here's our Joe St. George.
Going to the grocery store and finding healthy food is the goal for most people. Although, let's be honest, sometimes buying sugary treats can be a lot cheaper and tastier than buying foods like fruits and vegetables. Healthy eating is, however, a goal for the Department of Agriculture, the federal agency that helps regulate school meals nationwide. And right now, the agency is attempting to change the guidelines on the types of foods served to kids in the cafeteria. In short, the goal is less salt and less sugar on your child's plate. A public comment period is underway.
You have until April 10th to submit any feedback to the Department of Agriculture before they finalize these regulations. And while criticism is always expected with any proposed government change, some criticism is a bit surprising coming from school nutritionists.
There's a fine line.
Meet Jessica Gold. She's a school nutritionist for Littleton Public Schools in Colorado. We caught up with her during a recent lobbying trip to our nation's capital. Gold says eating healthy is great. She strives for that every day. However, she worries the current proposal might go too far. At the end of the day, school nutritionists must make sure students actually want to eat the food.
The kids that don't like the taste of our food because it doesn't have enough flavor, they bring their own food from home.
Gold's fear is less tastier food could create a culture of the haves and the have-nots, children whose parents can afford to let them bring their own meals and children whose parents can't.
We overregulate sometimes.
Not to mention, Gold says, there is a cost. One suggested change is reducing the sodium levels in meals by around 30% by 2029. That will force food manufacturers to change up recipes and distribution, passing the cost on to schools.
It costs millions of dollars. Sometimes you need a saltier snack.
Over the Department of Agriculture, this issue is serious. Secretary of Agriculture Tom Vilsack has called it a public health concern, and new funding is being made available to make it happen.
A measure of national security to safeguard the health and well-being of our nation's children.
Joe St. George, Scripps News, Washington.
Construction will begin next week on Starbucks' new two-story flagship location in Gilbert. It'll be part of the Mercy Center being built near Val Vista Drive and the Loop 202. The location will feature a fire pit and patio space on both levels.
Good morning, everyone. Tracking your most accurate forecast. I'm meteorologist Jorge Torres. We are getting ready for a cooler day in the valley with breezy conditions and even a slight chance for morning showers at about 20%. Starting off mostly cloudy throughout the day, then turning partly cloudy, but those highs only in the mid-60s for the afternoon. And remaining windy across eastern Arizona today, where we have wind advisories where gusts of 50 miles per hour are possible, and high wind warnings in areas around Sholo where gusts of 65 miles per hour cannot be ruled out. That is potentially some damaging wind we'll have to keep a close eye on. Now, as far as the chance of rain in the valley, again, it'll be spotty. Better chance for snow, though, in parts of the high country throughout the day, and then we dry out for Friday and for the weekend, too. Here's your 7-day forecast. In the valley, we'll keep those temperatures in the 60s today, 70s tomorrow. We're back in the 80s by the weekend, then cooler next week as another possible storm moves in. In Flagstaff, 80% chance of snow today, but we're back in the 50s by the weekend. Another shot of cool air and snow returns by Monday through Wednesday of next week.
For the latest headlines, weather, and traffic, head to abc15.com or download the free ABC15 mobile app.
This ABC 15 News Update is sponsored by Sanderson Ford, America's best-selling Ford dealership.